and welcome to the Chesapeake Today Show. It's your Executive Director, David Loop.
And Candace Montgomery, Director of Life Enrichment.
Well, Candace, I'll mention it later, but right now, we've got the blinds open.
I know.
We're recording this on the snow day.
Snow is so magical.
And maybe,
really
I don't know, we've had several dustings or some snowfall this winter. And today's may be the most.
I think it
so
may be the most as well. I mean,
Yeah.
we've definitely had an interesting winter time, but.
So that we have. So from a standpoint of, first of all, thank you for being with us. Thank you for tolerating me in a little bit more casual attire as I've got sweater on and whatever, but we're being prepared to help deliver some meals and whatever else we can help do today, but that's what we're focused on.
That's right, I know.
And, you know, because we can talk last week or when this was occurring, which is today, you and your team also set up a child daycare.
We did.
So the Chesapeake room had quite a bit of energy there.
Oh my gosh, you know, but it was really sweet of residents who wanted to stop by because they could just hear the energy. Because, you know, the Chesapeake room is kind of that fishbowl. You know, even though we were in the back half, there's a lot of folks coming from exercise class and things, and they like kids. We hear kids, and they're peeking in, and a few stepped in because they wanted to see it. My son Clint was here, and a lot of them hadn't seen him in a while, and so it's sweet. I think we don't realize how much residents miss having kids around and just hearing their little laughs and their voices, and so sweet.
Absolutely. Well, as we had shared last week when we were just preparing for the winter storm, wanted to try to be mindful of you all, residents, of course, and trying to provide a good meal option for you with the potential of there being fewer staff because of some snow, and also preparing for team members and preparing for the campus to be safe. So a lot of efforts, and I trust as you're viewing this, we made it through successfully and all was good. But as we did so, we have successfully moved from the middle part to the last week of February.
I know, man. I don't know where that month went. So fast.
For you, it's a big piece of it is Candygram time.
That is true. Candy is the.
Sometimes, you know, when you think about how months can fly for you when you get into those big projects that take a lot of different efforts, initiative planning, so that probably causes it to fly by.
It really does. And like you said, it's hard too because we're so focused on the next month, but then we realize this month just flies by as well, because when you do have big things like Candygrams, and we raised almost $1,500 with that, you know, I'm still hearing residents just chattering about different messages that they receive from team members and neighbors. And so as I shared on a previous episode that we had recorded, that's one of my favorite things that we do annually is the Candygrams. So.
And you hear the little comments from each other sharing, and so it's all good.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. I think I tried to set a very playful one to Ed Fullhart.
I did.
And Ed said that, well, I finally got the note. Yeah, I laughed, David, but my staff already ate my candy.
Oh no.
So it was fun to.
Oh gosh, somebody had been sneaking his candy.
Yeah, I think I didn't check on this. I bet you we had. If you look at the sugar level of the Chesapeake.
Holy cow.
In mid-February?
Yes.
I think we went through a lot of candy.
We were all feeling it.
Let
oh, my
alone
word.
what you all shared with each other. Perhaps you got gifts from family members.
Yes.
So,
oh my gosh. The smell of chocolate when we're stuffing this.
And I'm still, my favorite is that dark chocolate sea salt bar. I don't know if it's Ghirardelli or Linda or whatever.
Yeah,
but
I know exactly what you're talking about. That's good. Salty, sweet.
Yeah, that's just
a good combo.
What a favorite. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So we can just go backwards and reflect on hopefully the past week and all happening. You know, it's been well over a week ago. We had a little bit of a power outage over in the Gloucester cottages. Happened on a Sunday.
Yeah.
It was one of those windy days in this sort of uncertain weather we've been having, and apparently somewhere off-site, one of the substations feeding our campus, which happens to feed that Gloucester cottage neighborhood, got affected. It went, a number of hours. I think the total outage was just over 4 hours, maybe into the fifth hour. Luckily, it was 70 degrees that day. For those who may have missed a little bit of a car race or whatever else on a Sunday, sorry. We made a call in and did ask, and soon after it'd been out for a few hours, Dominion Energy either fixed the line or they did hit the switch. I didn't get a confirmation what they did, but within minutes after me talking to our representative, power was on.
That's amazing.
So could have been coincidental, but it was short-lived. But anyways, just to let you know, we're always sensitive to that, and hopefully our power outages are few and far between.
Most definitely, I know. We've been it's been good for us having to prepare for a lot of different things and just learning the processes of that. And putting those things in place. Good learning experience.
The other thing, Candace, I just will share that appreciate you all helping me communicate this, and we've had good attendance, and that is the neighborhood meetings.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So having those, we switched around a little bit. We had a couple relocations, but primarily we had them in Chesapeake Room, and just getting a responsible or good attendance from you all. Maybe not as many as the first time I did it, but it's just really nice. And had Kurt DeGraw,
Good.
our new director, dining, join us, and
Excellent.
he was able just to give a nice update, just very transparent, factual communication. Hey, here's where he's at. Here's things they're working on, and I think he definitely connects well.
Good.
So those neighborhood meetings were well. Thank you for attending, and just one more little thing we accomplished in February.
I think it's a good thing to have those as well. I'm sure residents really appreciate that extra outlet to really feel like they hear a different piece, because we have so many methods of communication, but it's different in that setting where it's really focused on different neighborhoods and what they bring to your all's attention is good.
Yeah. So, what's next? We're going to talk this week, and I'm sure we got some other things on the short horizon.
And we definitely do, now that March is right around the corner. So last week in February here, of course, Monday the 24th, we have one of our shopping trips. It's leaving at 10 a.m. from the Hampton entrance, this time to Dollar Tree. We do have Miss Platzman's decorative painting class at 1:30 in the Creative Arts Studio. And hand chimes practice is at 7 p.m. I do have some bad news. They've lost a couple of their members, so we're taking another break. So you won't see that on the March calendar. So this will be the last practice that they have for February.
But it's a solicitation.
Yes,
If people want to
it
do the
is.
handbells, the chimes,
know.
please let us know. I'm sure, Candace, you can help coordinate it
Yeah, we
and
went-
getting the communication to those residents who would like to continue.
We had 2 months back up and running, and so I'm hopeful that we'll have some people who will come out and want to take part in that, especially new residents. You know, I know Leslie's been trying to connect with folks to find their hobbies and interests, so I'm hopeful that we can still bring it back together. And then that afternoon at 3 o'clock, I'll be in the aerobic studio with Bucky and Indy for our monthly visit. And then Tuesday the 25th, we have Bible study at 10:45 in the Explorer Room. Alice Boring's Reminiscing Club will be at 1:30 in the Chesapeake Room, which is always well attended. I'm not sure who her speaker is this time, but she always has at least 50 or 60 folks who attend, which is great. And then there is a regular shopping trip that afternoon at 1:30, leaving from the Hampton entrance. And I like to tell folks, you know, if you need to pick up medications, you can tag in on one of these shopping trips. We go to Kroger, we go to those main places where you can pick up with a pharmacy. So I like to put that plug out there because some folks don't think they can do that, and you can. And then Wednesday, there's a trip at 9:15 to Harper Station Scandals of Virginia. That is actually at Harper Station. The new retirement community is right around the corner. So leaving at 9:15 from the Hampton entrance for that lecture, and it does have a box lunch as well. 10 a.m., Mr. Johnston is doing his Funny Farm orientation, really trying to capture new residents as his focus. You know, we've explored trying to get team members involved, and team members can come to this as well. But Mr. Johnston really has that renewed focus with, there's several plots who need to have an owner. So we're really wanting to have a fresh new focus for the spring and have those plots filled. And then Uwe has his German class in the afternoon at 3 in the Explorer Room. 7 p.m., Big George Foreman. George Foreman's kind of history there, 7 p.m. in the Explorer Room. That should be interesting. Thursday, Catholic prayer service in the Harbor Room at 9:30 a.m. We have a shopping trip to Belk, which has been very well attended. We've had it almost every month now because folks really like going to Williamsburg to that store. 11 a.m. from the Hampton entrance. And then Town Hall is at 2 p.m. in the Chesapeake Room. Then we have our birthday bash with the Retired Musicians Band at 7 p.m. in the Chesapeake Room. And last but not least, Friday, we have a trip to BJ's Brew House, which is right around the corner here, leaving from 11 a.m. at the Hampton entrance.
Great.
Full
Busy
week.
Busy
Yeah.
week.
Full
Yeah.
week, for sure.
So when you mentioned town hall,
Yeah.
caught my thinking that, you know, a couple of things that, you know, we'll probably be talking with some level there, but we're going to probably have to set up some special sessions, maybe into March, and that is one talking really where are we heading and what's resident council's opinion on recycling.
Okay.
Because with recycling, it's been this wonderful passion that we've had, and Jim Johnson, oh my gosh, what an ambassador he has been to recycling. But he, as well as all of us, have become more keenly aware of what's really happening outside our walls, sometimes even within our walls, and is recycling really going to where it should be?
Sure.
And then when you take away someone like Jim who's so passionate, and what is that future leadership, I think there's things we can responsibly do, but it may be a little different than what we've done in the past. So
Okay.
some conversations there.
Yeah.
Another one that we're going to have to spend some time on is with our new point of sale system.
Right.
So between
Most
you and
definitely.
Kurt,
Okay.
we're going to have to schedule some times, and we may even want to plug them into, if we can, the March calendar.
All right.
If we can get some things in quick, because what's going to happen is, as we're preparing and then implementing this new point of sale system, you're going to want to learn how to access the portal.
Oh, I
And
see.
the portal is going to allow you to go, and it will be your new reservation platform. Dine time goes away,
Okay.
Serve It and Tell goes away, and we end up with e-menu choice, which will be one application. It will have connectivity. We can go through Uniguest.
That's what I was just about to say. Okay,
Okay.
perfect.
And but we're just really going to have to educate you all so you're comfortable with several things. One, what you control between reservations and residents, also being able to get through the portal and saying, here's my balance, but it's not just my dollar balance.
That's great.
Here's the items that I've ordered. Here's what will be on my resident charge. Oh, yep, that's right. My grandson did come in and have ice cream,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Okay.
And then we'll also want you to have a glimpse as to the new technology in the tablets and how much information is on them for the servers to better serve you. Because they'll have anything from food allergies to your picture, to them even showing you a picture of the entree. Oh, you want to know what this special dish is that the chef's given a funny name to, that they'll be able to describe it to you. So we call it point of sale, POS, and so some best, those two things, recycling and with point of sale. Wasn't quite ready for me to get them at my neighborhood meeting topic,
Sure.
but they're two
Okay.
things that will be real important.
can do
So
that.
more to come there.
That sounds good. That's exciting.
Yeah, good things,
It's going
and
to be a
just
great
early in
checks
the
and
year.
balance. Awesome.
So what else do we have?
That's it for this week. I mean, I know we have some things coming up in that first week of March. We have our Leprechaun Treat Hunt is the first Thursday of March, and that's going to be an all-day thing, community-wide. So you'll see in your connection, but what you're looking for is little golden nuggets. So we've got chocolate coins and golden nuggets that you're looking for. Some will be hidden in obvious places. Others you're going to have to work a little hard to find, but they'll be throughout the entire community. So this is something we're doing at all levels of care. You know, before we've done things and maybe it's just in the community center areas. So people can get their steps in,
Yeah.
right?
Very nice.
And have a little chocolate if they come upon some. So that's one of the fun things that I know is happening in the beginning of March. We have a lot of Chesapeake University things packed into March. I know Courtney's going to be doing something. We have a couple of other things as well, some outside speakers coming in. So March is jam-packed.
Yeah.
It's a lot of good stuff. Tree Commission is one group that's going to be talking.
Education, and
That's on the
that's,
10th.
I think you'll get a hint of that at Town
Town
Hall,
Hall,
but then they're going to come and do a full presentation so you can learn about our tree inventory, some trees that need to be taken down, what are the preferred trees as we replace. And literally as I'm saying this, we're within weeks of a couple of trees coming down in Gloucester Commons. The area's been flagged, and it won't be long until we're turning ground there for the pavilion.
All right.
So we're finally, seeing them mark out the areas, and it's given us an indication we're getting real close to be on top of that permit to begin that work. So,
That's exciting.
so all in the work. So yeah, March, and then we're going to be wrapping up almost, I think, the majority of the assisted living neighborhoods. So won't be far off until we have a nice open house and some things there. So
Maybe early April,
Yeah.
you think, maybe?
yeah,
Somewhere in there?
yeah, I think that will work.
That'd be lovely.
So, not that we want to just keep looking to the future. Let's just enjoy today. So we got some wonderful days of February to enjoy. Let's do that. And I know coming up here we got another fascinating interview today. One of your own, one of our residents, and you're going to enjoy meeting her and learning more about her. So I guess we'll say farewell until next time, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the Chesapeake Today Show, and so glad that today you're joining us for a special interview, and today with a resident, Carol Bama. Carol, great having you part of the Chesapeake family. Welcome to you.
Well, thank you very much. It's been great getting to know people, people in these offices, and the people that come around the hallways. Just cleaning up and taking care of things. It's a
It's quite a
pretty great
family,
place
isn't
to
it?
be. Yes.
Absolutely. Well, Carol, I know as residents love getting to know each other, and you've already met so many at the dinner table and other places. But maybe a little bit about where you're originally from. Where are you from, and maybe early days, any early occupations?
Well, I was born and raised in Michigan.
Okay. And what city?
It was a little town that no longer exists, Drayton Plains.
Okay. So
about-
now, do you still talk like this, like most Michiganders, where they try to point out on the shape of a hand where they live?
Well, no, most everybody knows where Detroit is.
Yeah.
So we lived 32 miles outside of Detroit on a northwesterly angle.
Okay, so up towards Novi and up beyond that area. Because I lived in Plymouth for a while, and you would have been further up, almost heading towards Lansing then.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that direction.
Great.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, and my parents, however, escaped West Virginia. My father was not wanting to be a farmer all his life, nor did he want the coal mines.
Yeah.
He was going to Detroit, and he was going to make a name for himself. He did. So that's
where you. So you grew up there. Was that where you went to high school at?
I went to high school. That high school still exists, but
Okay.
my elementary school no longer exists. So between my high school and my church, that was most of my life except for summers.
Okay.
And I spent summers in West Virginia,
Very
being
good.
passed among about 10 different households during the summer. I loved it, and those of them who are left say they
Still
loved me
connected.
too.
So give us maybe a couple fond memories. Summers in West Virginia. What's the top of the mind with that fond memory?
Gosh, I don't know. Let me start when I was about 10 years old. My maternal grandmother was working at O.J. Morrison's department store in Charleston. And she worked in dry goods, and she had worked her way up to where she was the head of dry goods. So that was where I learned my first job. But it was not in
Yeah.
dry goods. It was in elevator operator.
Ah.
They had elevator
Yeah,
operators in
yeah.
those days. And so when she had gotten her work settled so that she really needed to concentrate on customers instead of little Carol, she turned me over to the elevator operator, who was a lovely, lovely African-American woman.
Yeah.
And probably twice my age, at the time. And I learned to operate the elevator.
So my memories, I know you are referencing your summers in West Virginia, but I grew up in Chillicothe, Ohio.
Oh, I know
So
Chillicothe.
from the West Virginia boundary, just 60, 70 miles or whatever. And my memory of Chillicothe was Shackney's department store and their elevator. So as soon as you said that, I'm just thinking back, and I'm thinking about probably as a kid, I wanted to be that elevator operator. And then my dad worked for Nationwide Insurance, and his building he was in a Citizens Bank building. They had an underground parking garage and an elevator that went up like 3 or 4 levels. I remember going there and playing.
Okay.
That was something, going to where Dad worked in the elevator in the parking garage. So anyways, good fun memories.
Well, now
So-
you're calling up other memories for me.
Yeah.
My grandfather, when my father was in junior high school, had moved from out in the country, where my father decided he didn't want to be a farmer.
Yeah.
But he had moved to Charleston. And the reason was that as a farmer, you need supplies. And I remember cowboy movies, the family goes to town once a week or
Yeah,
once a month.
yeah.
And, well, he bought himself a truck so that he could transport what he needed and for his neighbors in farming.
Yeah.
And so when Greyhound decided that Charleston was where they wanted to establish a new regional office for Greyhound buses, they bought my grandfather out of his little business he had started, moved his family to Charleston, and I spent a part of my career sitting on the lap of the guy who dispatched the buses. And so when you said Chillicothe, I thought, oh, all those funny names that I had to say when I was
And
like
all the bus
5 or
routes
6
and
years
everywhere
old.
they were traveling. Yeah.
Yes.
Think about Greyhound. I mean, all the residents watching, it's just fond memories. You and I can think of those. Then they had that double-decker Vista bus and all that. And today, it's just amazing how bus is just so minimal.
Yeah.
It's almost more just custom chartered, and those bus lines don't exist.
Yeah.
Fascinating. So from your days between being raised in Michigan, at the time, wonderful family in West Virginia, career, you obviously came to Hampton Roads at some point. Tell me a little more story.
Oh, goodness. Well, let's see. I got to Hampton Roads because I was, my first marriage was to a sailor, and eventually he worked the rounds and made it out to Hawaii for 3 years, and then coming back to the stateside, mainland stateside, he was at Oceana. So that's how I got here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you've been to Hampton Roads how many years now?
since 1965.
Okay. So good many years. So it's been your home. Sounds like,
Yes,
for,
yes.
for so long. And did you have children?
I have 2 children.
Yep.
And my partner and I share a family that has 5 children.
That's
and
wonderful.
Several grandchildren and a few great-grandchildren.
And that's special.
Yeah.
Well, stay in them, and I trust you have any in the state or any of them within
Yes.
visitation areas?
Yes, and some of them have been here several times. Some have only made it once. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, my children, as you may, when we first met each other, I'd shared that my wife and I have 5 between us, and one of them is in Virginia, which I'll see a little more often, sometimes more through business and even sometimes personal. But then the other ones are all out of state. So it's like, wow, when we see them, often, if it's 2 or 3 times a year at best, I'm lucky. Getting them here is sometimes difficult, particularly when they have their kids in their lives. So I sometimes go to them. But staying connected in today's busy world is always a challenge.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So hobbies and interests. What are some things that you enjoy and like?
I enjoy walking. That's one thing for sure. And I'm happy not to have had to give that up. I recently turned 82, and a lot of things I've had to give up. Most of it's between my ears, or it's not there anymore. But at any rate, I enjoyed athletics when I was a youngster, and then I enjoyed schooling. Now, I have an interesting academic career.
Okay.
I graduated top of my class in high school, but twice after I began a college career, I was asked to leave. And there were a couple of strange reasons. People know me around here as the crazy lady that walks out in the cold in short pants and no sleeves. And, that may be. I may be crazy. But I find it keeps me healthy.
Yeah.
So when I can, I do. At any rate, I went to a nice Presbyterian college, and they had a rule written in the books. Women do not smoke cigarettes in public. Well, I had learned to smoke by the time I was that age. My mother smoked always and forever. And cigarettes were, of course, the cheapest choice. But, the rule is the rule, and I was pretty much a rule follower. So I went to the Rose's dime store. I think it was called something, and dollar and something store. And I bought myself a corncob pipe and a little bit of tobacco. And so I smoked that on campus. And as a result, I was asked to leave the school.
Because even though you were honoring the true of not smoking a cigarette, you sort of bent a little bit, tried something a little different just to test things, and got called on it.
Yes, yes.
All right. Well, I'm sure you took that lemonade and made something good out of it, or those lemons and made some lemonade.
Well, I found people later in life who were willing to do that for me.
Yeah.
When I was 64, I think, the church, the Presbyterian Church, and the political laws had begun to change a little bit about who could do what. And suddenly the Presbyterian Church was inviting gay and lesbian folks who felt called to be active in ministry. And so I said, the deal is, they knew I couldn't do it because I couldn't get a master's degree when I didn't have a bachelor's degree. So, and University of Dubuque Theological Seminary said, send an application in, Carol. That's what we can't do without. So I did. And they took me on. And it was a marvelous experience. And so much so that 3 years, 4 years after I'd graduated and was actively involved in churches, you know, as a volunteer, but doing some really significant stuff for the communities that we were a part of. They invited me to apply for a doctoral program. And I said, you got to be kidding. And they said, we're not kidding at all. You come. You're the funny one. You come make the jokes for us. So that's where we are right now, as a matter of fact.
And working on that doctorate degree.
Working on that
at the young age of 82.
Yes, sir.
That's inspiring.
Thank you. I was inspired by some wonderful people.
Yeah. Well, that's a great story. Well, continued success with that. I'm sure as you had attained that degree and that honor a number of years ago, you've now had, you know, a couple decades of doing some help to other people. And I imagine you've been wonderful with that.
Thank you. I hope so. And I get reports that that's true.
Good.
So.
Well, you've been here now at the Chesapeake for a short while, a few months now, I think back into 2024 when you moved in.
Yeah.
Any first impressions, what you expected? And, you know, and I will admit today, if you aren't seeing it, we are here on a snowy day. We pre-record these. So Carol and I are sitting here during our starting of a snowstorm. So we kept the blinds open today. We're both in sweaters. We could be in shorts and less, but no, we're playing the part of the snow day. So back to being here for a few months. How's it been for you?
Well, during the past 10, 15 years, with what quote unquote free time I had available, one of the things I did was make pastoral calls with folks who we call maybe shut-ins or homebound or whatever, folks who could not get themselves out to church regularly and missed the church. And so we did actual pastoral work for about 8 years with primarily one congregation that I'm still a member of, but a couple of other congregations that just needed a little help along the way having that kind of a program. A good number of the people that I visited were in retirement communities similar to this. And that was really, you know, my contact here. And when my partner and I decided that it was time for us to consider giving up a large home that was tough to maintain and a large yard and gardens that were just too much, we considered this, and that's sort of how we got here. We were impressed with the people I visited here, which were only 2, I think, 3 maybe. One is still living here. And their reactions to this place and what they thought of it and the food and just the general community were very positive, and so I came expecting that. And by golly, they couldn't even begin to tell the story. This is, yeah, I guess I should be careful, what I say about this, but this is the place that a person would dream of, because not just folks like yourself who happen to be friendly to everybody, you have the right personality for leading a group like this, but down to, I say down, and I don't mean
Across,
down like
across to every team member.
Yes, across. It's just there's no way to explain what it's like to see a smile on almost everyone's face almost every time you see them.
Yeah.
And if there isn't a smile, it's probably because they're working so hard at something they can't smile.
Yeah, yeah.
And the food is good.
Yeah.
My partner and I are both pretty good cooks, and
Yeah.
we've shared some of our stuff with some of the other folks in the community, both staff, team
Yeah.
members, whatever, and other residents. And it's it's a good atmosphere,
Yeah.
a very positive atmosphere, but still always aware that the person they're talking to may or may not be in that positive frame of
Yeah,
mind.
and how do we help each other? Because we always speak of everyone has a story. We have sometimes things that may be troubling us or whatever, and even residents, you and I could have one. But I'm just so captivated by using the word, this is a dream. And I'm going to parallel it with a word that I once heard from a team member. A team member shared with me this was his sanctuary. Now, fascinating, two terms to describe in my very positive, wonderful, spiritual place to be. And that's really powerful. And I just will reflect as you're talking, Carol, about, I've been at this for a number of years, and I just think about it's been my joy in a career to come into someone's home, to meet people like you, and to share optimism. Because that's really what we do. That's what the smile, that's what the warmth is. It's just, today's good. Whatever we have, however we're feeling, whatever, it's good. And to see it, and to see the energy from the team members to residents, and sometimes we feed each other. That's all this dream.
Yes.
So, very
Yes.
nice. Thank you for sharing that word. Real fine. Well, I just know, having a chance to visit you in your home and you and your partner, getting to know you, you're wonderful. We appreciate you being part of this community. Great talking with you today, reminiscing a little bit about our elevator memories. And I just want to thank you for being part of the show and being a part of this program. And if I'll just conclude, anything final you'd like to share, anything else that we didn't touch upon?
No, I think you've covered my reactions, my responses pretty well. I enjoy being here, and hope to enjoy being here for some time yet.
Absolutely. We want that. And thank you for being part of this family. So we'll go ahead and end today on this snowy day. Don't think we're going to set any records here at Newport News, although we listen to the forecasters giving us the gloom, but I'm predicting 6 inches at most. So we'll see. So other than that, thanks for watching. And perhaps by the time you're watching this, you'll say, what are they talking about snow? It's already back up to 55, 60 degrees and it's dry. But David and Carol are talking about snow and have sweaters on. So until next time, have a great week.